Good afternoon. I'm a little bit late with this week's video. It's Saturday the, I don't know, 10th I think, 9th it could be, of May. And I just wanted to initially update you on my targets for last week. So, going through them one by one, there's only 3, don't worry. The first one was about improving myself. And I wanted to set up a morning routine which was just becoming as natural as doing anything else you might do in the morning, something that needed no thought whatsoever but may have a huge benefit. And I chose that when I let the dogs out in the morning, I simply followed them out, walked up and down the garden, which is not a long garden by any stretch, and stood for a few seconds on the wet grass, the morning grass, the dew. And I've been lucky. It's only rained overnight a couple of times, and I'm getting used to the wet feet. And I'm taking the 1 kilogram weights out with me, and on the way up and down the path I'm doing the bicep curls, and on the standing on the wet grass I'm doing 10, I think they're called lateral raises, where you raise your arms up at the side, and I'm really enjoying it. And what's more, not only is it being commonplace, but I'm having an effect. And I don't understand the science of it or why and all the rest of it. But actually, I've had the week's best sleep in the world. Normally, I can take an hour, hour and a half to get to sleep, sometimes much longer. This last week, I've been going to sleep certainly within 15, 20 minutes, which I believe is the average, but sometimes within 5, 10 minutes. It's just absolutely weird. Excuse me, dog wants to say hello. Oh, there we are. So, I've really enjoyed that. So this week, I want to carry on with that. As I say, I want to build habits. I want to do habit stacking them one on top of the other. I want them to become normal. Sorry, this is the other dog, who wants to say hello. And so this time, I'm going to build up the step count. So I'm going to walk up and down the path 5 times. I'm still going to do the weights. I'm still going to do the lateral arm raises. So I'll end up doing more of those. But, I'm really loving it. So that's one to keep going, I think. The second target was about the home and garden. All right, get down, monster. And I set out to either do the patio at the back or clear out the kitchen island. Well, we've been blessed with fairly good weather this week, and I've been able to get out every day. And if you can visualise it, there's the summer house, then there's the patio, and then there's the lilac tree. And the lilac tree had a lot of dead branches sprawling all over the place, a lot of weeds underneath it. There were weeds coming through the paving stones in the patio and so forth. So I spent a long time cutting out all the dead branches. I don't know if you can just see there. There's lots of dead branches to cut up, the smaller bits to go in the bin, the bigger bits to use as fire sticks or logs later on in the year with the open fire when they've dried out properly. In terms of the weeds coming through the cracks in the paving stones, I'm using Nancy Birtwhistle's method of pouring boiling water followed by salt on the cracks, and that is having a really good effect. So it's not weed killer, but they are killing the weeds, if that makes sense. So I'm not quite there by now, but I've made a huge progress. And my aim this week is simply to carry on with that job, get that job done, with a view to at least once in the week, hopefully by Friday at the latest, actually sitting there and having some kind of breakfast on the patio. Because again, that's an extension of the first target, isn't it? It's getting up and greeting the morning sun, and to be able to take a cup of coffee and your breakfast down to the end of the garden and just say hello to the sun and say hello to the morning and appreciate the peace and quiet where I live would be fantastic. I've actually got an old metal table that has seen many better days, and I splashed out on some paint primer. So once I get the patio sorted and sorted washed the windows of the summer house, done all that kind of stuff, then I shall paint this or spray paint this table and hopefully have somewhere nice down there just to sit and chill and whatever. I keep saying down there. We're talking, I doubt it's 20 metres, but it makes it gives you a different view, doesn't it? Looking back at the house as opposed to always looking at the garden. And thirdly, it was dietary. Now, I always stumble when it comes to dietary. And this week I set myself the task of trying 3 new recipes. Now I have to say I'm a traditional meat and veg, meat to veg type girl. I don't do foreign food, for want of a better word. But I have bought this lovely cookery book and I tried some recipes from it, and one of them, the falafels, were gorgeous, really, really nice. I'd never had a falafel before I bought this book, but not only are they nice, but they're freezable. So that was a good day. Had apricots in, wow. I also made some very healthy salted caramel bars, which kind of think Twix, but you're making the toffees from dates, etc. So very natural foods. And the other thing I tried was, I've seen everywhere a certain brand, won't mention it, of a gut fibre mix, a mix of seeds and nuts and so forth. But it works out really quite expensive for a month's supply. So I also came across a recipe where somebody had said, okay, mix these in this quantity and that will really help. They're not trying to replace, they haven't got the 30 plus plants in that the other company described, but I've made myself up a jar of those and I'm sprinkling those on cereal and so forth. So I'm having some of those every day. And again, I'm really enjoying investigating nuts and seeds because I haven't had that many in my life. It's not that I don't like them, it's just years of slimming made you feel that they weren't proper, you weren't allowed them, but actually they're really good for you, they're really good healthy fats. So, or so I believe, I'm not an expert by any means. So this week when it comes to a dietary thing, I think I need to go back to basics. I think I need to just focus on what I'm eating, just focus on the intake. Yes, I want it to be healthy, but I also want it to be calorifically healthy, because after all, one of the targets by the end of the year is to have lost weight. So I need to start being more aware and taking more account of what I'm eating. So as of tomorrow, I want a complete week, or as much of the week that's left, of 2,000 calories or under. Truthfully, I use Nutracheck when I'm doing it, and Nutracheck set me 1,500-ish calories and say we assume you will use at least another 200 calories up by exercising. So theoretically 1,700 is my target. If I go over it, I'm going to forgive myself until I get to 2,000, and then I will say it's a fail, so that at least I'm being accountable. And most days I do actually earn far more than that in terms of exercise. So I think that will have a dramatic effect if I manage to keep to all of that. So far so good. Start of week 2. And my targets for week 2 are to maintain the morning routine, but to increase the amount of times I walk up and down. I look an idiot, but I live in an area where I'm not really that overlooked, so I don't care. The home and garden one would be to finally finish the patio, get all the weeds removed, get it all swept up, and then sit out at least once and have at least a cup of coffee, if you call that breakfast, on that patio, and then that job is done. I should also add, I'm trying, but I'm not putting it as a target because it might be too much. I'm trying every day to give an hour. I might have to keep pausing the time in between. I do a bit here and a bit there, but do an hour of a kind of a room reset. I've already done the lounge and completely bottomed it from top to bottom. I did the hall and the stairs today. And it's not the biggest house in the world, but if I move around from room to room, A, I'll know it's had a good deep clean, good sort, and B, I keep discovering things to sell on Vinted, so that'll help finances. So I won't set that as a target. I will just try and do that so that when I see you next time, every room has been reset and sorted. And the third target is the dietary one. Very simply, keep to less than 2,000 calories. Doing all of this may seem a bit daft, but I tell you what, I feel like I've taken control. I feel like I'm doing something for myself. I'm making changes in my life that, yeah, they're sustainable. Yeah, if I build on them little and often, they're sustainable. Anyway, for now, good luck everyone. You do your own thing. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but at least I'm going to look back on this as a record of where I started on this journey. Thank you for listening.